Hey everyone, welcome to another Facebook Live. I'm your host Jess.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
And today we are talking back to school online tips, giving you all the info you need to succeed. But before we jump into all of that good stuff, Lauren is going to give us our Facebook Live etiquette and some disclaimers.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining. We're so excited to talk about, you go to school online, so you might not be necessarily a new online student this year. You might have been going online for a while, or you might be new, but there's a buzz in the air during back to school season. So we wanted to kind of go with it, capture that buzz, and talk about how to really come at the fall strong. So with that being said, if you have any tips for success, if you have any questions about how to be successful, anything that maybe you're trying to work on yourself, feel free to leave all of that in the comments. Like and share if you're so inclined. Definitely feel free to tag any friends who could benefit from this conversation. If you want to talk to us more directly, of course, we always say don't drop any personal information in the comments because, of course, the comments are public. But we'd love to hear from you and talk through any more personal or specific questions or topics that you want to cover. You can call Student Services if you're already enrolled at Penn Foster. That number is 1-888-427-1000. If you are not yet a Penn Foster student, but going back to school online is something that you're considering for this year, you can call our admissions department at 1-888-427-6500. And we'd be happy to talk to you about what going back to school online looks like, how to get enrolled, how to transfer credits, and how to really be set up for success. So without further ado, I'll give you some highlights of our agenda. We're going to talk about why go back to school online if you're not already enrolled, how to get started with online classes, how to be a successful online student, some of our favorite study tips, some of our favorite time management tips, tips for staying motivated, and of course, how to celebrate your success, which may come at graduation, but there are also a lot of milestones that come along the way, so it's important to celebrate those. Let's get right into it. Jess, I'm going to ask you about our first topic, which is why should someone go back to school online?
Well, I think honestly, there's a ton of different reasons. It's first of all just a great option to have whether you're going into high school or college. Online also allows you to work at your own pace, which I feel like is the biggest reason we hear as to why students want to go to school online, or our graduates say that it was their number one favorite thing about going back to school online, because they were able to decide when and where they wanted to study and as much as they wanted to study at any given time. So, if you're having a week where you really feel super motivated and you want to get a ton done, you have a lot of free time, you can, put in that much effort then. But if the next week you're really busy, you have other life factors going on, you can take it a little bit easier, and it's not going to affect, your grades. It's not going to affect the way that you complete your courses. You can do it whenever, wherever. And also you can work on multiple subjects and classes at one time. So when you go to a regular traditional, college or high school, you have your regular schedule and you do math at 9 and English at 10:15 and yada, yada, yada. With this, you can do courses concurrently. You can start one, take a break from it, and go back to it. You can really focus on a subject instead of having to go in between and do every subject a little bit each day. You can do, a bunch of math one day and then the next day do a bunch of the next course, and really tailor it to how you learn best. Also, obviously, money is always a factor, and it's super affordable. We offer low monthly payment plan options, so you can earn your degree or diploma the way it fits your budget. And, just we try to make it as easy and stress-free as it can possibly be for you to meet your goals and just get these things done that you want to get done. And also, you can start anytime. So like you were saying before, Lauren, obviously that back to school buzz is in the air, all the back to school sales at the stores, the weather's cooling down a little bit, it fall always feels like a back to school time, but you can start in the summer, you can start now, you could start later in the fall, you could start in the winter, or spring. Anytime that you want to jump in and, start working your way towards your dream job or getting that diploma, you can do it. So I think that that's also a really big factor, is obviously right now is when traditional students are going back to school, but you don't have to make that decision. You can decide whenever you're ready to just jump in and get started, which I think is awesome.
That's definitely a good point. And, aside from starting anytime, I know, Jess, you were talking about doing it wherever you want, whenever you want. I think one of the stresses in school too could be the other students. There might be people there that aren't so nice. High school's a tough time because people are growing and changing and people aren't always nice, but you get to be in control of your education. You could learn where you're most comfortable, be around who you're most comfortable being around, and do it at times that are comfortable for you. So if you're not somebody who likes waking up super early, you don't have to. You don't have to be rushed into taking exams. Like, you get to do it in a way where you could focus on the learning and be comfortable and avoid a lot of the stress that going to school in person kind of brings.
Absolutely. I mean, I know me personally, when I was back in high school, if I had, had this option, it was be something I would have seriously considered to try to, just eliminate some of those stressors and just really be able to focus on the content, which is really the point of school at the end of the day. So I think that that's a really good point too. So if you, heard all of that and you think that that sounds like it's perfect for you and you want to kind of get into it, how would somebody get into starting online classes?
So it's actually pretty easy. To get started, you could either enroll online, which you can do on our website at pennfoster.edu, or like we said before, you can talk with an admission specialist. That's a good option if you have a few questions or just want the peace of mind of knowing that you talked to a real person, which is totally fair. That number again is 1-888-427-6500. When you're going to enroll, you will need to fill out some information, choose your payment plan option, and make your first payment towards your program to get started. Then you will be able to create a username and password to log into the student portal. The student portal is where you'll go to complete all of your coursework. So it's very important to kind of get in there and familiarize yourself. So when you first log in, like I said, give yourself a little tour of the student portal. Get comfortable in there, and then you can really just dive into your first class. The student portal design is really easy so that you'll always know where you need to navigate and what you need to do next, which is great. There's also a help center in there where you can contact your instructors if you need help. So like we've been saying, like Penn Foster is all online and you can do it at your own pace. You can kind of do it yourself, but we do have those instructors there, and we have student services there too, that if you need anything, we're a phone call away. So it's kind of whatever you need when you need it. We also have a student community, which is an awesome, awesome student hub to become a part of. So we highly recommend joining that when you first enroll, or if any of you watching are already Penn Foster students and you're not in the community, absolutely join. We'll drop the link to the community in the comments section. That's where you can connect with each other. You can join student groups, get help from students who have completed the classes that you're currently working on, and also meet people with similar interests. And that's where you can kind of get that really cool connection with people that are going through something that you're going through. There's a moderator in there, Sean, who is one of the funnest, coolest people you will ever meet. So he's a real person and he's always around to say hi and make sure you feel included. And is always a great person to chat to if you're in the chat with, if you are in the community. So that's a pretty cool spot.
I love this
And
Sean shout out because shout out to Sean. He is the best. I just want to echo that sentiment.
yes. So it's kind of cool that all of these resources are there when you need them. But if you're somebody who's more introverted or just like really doing well with kind of navigating your program on your own, you can do that and you're not forced into interactions with people when you don't want to be. So that's kind of nice. Um, but using these resources is a great way to be successful. Jess, what are some other ways to really be successful, specifically when you're an online student? Because it is a little bit different than when you're in person.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when you are in person, the focus is always on the grades, and being a successful online student is definitely about way more than just getting straight A's. It's about, time management. It's about making sure that you keep yourself motivated, because as opposed to being in a regular school, where you have teachers motivating you or instructors, this is all on you. So self-motivation is a big piece of it. And some ways to just set yourself up for success is, number one, creating a study schedule and sticking to it is crucial. And some days, and also creating a study schedule and sticking to it, but also not being too hard on yourself if you can't stick to it. Other things come up, other factors. Don't be too hard on yourself if you can't, but having that schedule will give you those specific pockets of time every week or every day where it's completely dedicated to furthering your education and getting a little bit farther into some of those courses, which will help you, just set yourself up to succeed. Making sure that you have a quiet study space where you can focus is also something that you can really do for yourself that will help you out. If that's not something that you can do in your house, check out your local libraries, see if they have, quiet rooms and things like that. Most of them do. And a lot of times you can actually schedule time with your local libraries to like have that room for 2 hours, and that is yours. Nobody will interrupt you. Nobody will come in. So definitely making sure that you have that specific space where you function best and your brain power just really clicks on. That is super important to being successful. And also asking for help when you need it. Just like you were saying before, Lauren, obviously these classes are self-paced, but there are still instructors that you can reach out to through the student portal if you have questions or you need that little bit of extra explanation or a little bit of extra help. And, if you need more broad tips, like just, more tips for success or more just like a little bit more motivation, you can call student services and talk to a real person. And even if it's just, to kind of get it out that you're having a hard time and ask them for what they would suggest you could do, there's always somebody available to help you be your best learner, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think it's important, we have so many resources here at Penn Foster, but then also too, the people in your life, like one tip I would give is tell the people who love you and support you about what you're doing and your goals. And then ask them to check in, ask them to hold you accountable, ask them to say, are you logging into your program? Are you making progress? How are you doing? Let them cheer you on and keep you going. So it is important to like tap into the people in your life and really be set up for success.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, like we were saying before, online school is super convenient in a lot of ways, but it can also be very isolating if you're not the kind of person who's used to asking for help or reaching out. You don't have that direct person standing over your shoulder, walking up and down the aisles as you're completing an assignment that you can just raise your hand. So, like you're saying, your family members, your loved ones, your instructors, student services, and again, the student community. If you just, want to get advice from people who are doing the exact same thing you are, that's also a really good resource to, find people and find your group and find the people that you can go to when you need that little bit of extra help.
Absolutely.
And, in terms of things like that and asking for extra help, getting study tips from people, I think that that's a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, because everybody has a different way of retaining information and studying and getting all that information to really stick in your brain. So we have come up with some study tips. And Lauren, do you want to give us a couple of those that we think are really good?
Sure. So, the first study tip that I would give, I think this is something that's a little more unique to online school. When you're taking notes, it involves note taking. When you're in a traditional, like, say, public school classroom, you might only be allowed to have a paper and pen, or I don't know, you might be on a computer where you're typing, but sometimes it can be a little restrictive. One cool thing with online school is that you can take notes the way that best works for you. If that's writing them down, if that's using a note-taking app, if that's recording notes as voice recordings and then playing them back later, you can take and process your notes in a way that genuinely helps you learn. Like even the reading them aloud and playing them back, like that's kind of hard to do when you're in a classroom with other people. But that's an option when you're online. So different people have different learning styles, different ways that they process information, and you could do it in a way that makes sense. Another study tip would be to really take your time. You're not in a class period that starts and ends at a certain time. You don't have exam deadlines. So you really can complete your lessons and then end up taking your exams at a time that makes sense for you. Take your time with your study guides, take your time with your assigned readings, and just make sure that the things that you're learning you genuinely get, and that you've covered everything, and you don't have to feel that pressure of rushing. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Of course, I think it's still important to have goals for when you want to move through your courses and be hitting those milestones. So I'd say with that, don't procrastinate either. Um, Start studying early for your exams. Do not wait until the night before. So this is kind of one of those like take your time but don't procrastinate situations. It's really hard to retain information when you're cramming. So really try to set aside like, maybe an hour each day, a couple days before you plan on taking your exams, to make sure that you are able to really think about the information that you're studying and know that you know it when it's time for the test. And then one tip that Jess mentioned earlier, which is setting up a study space that's a little quiet where you can really focus. I think that applies to when you're studying for exams as well. If you're in a loud, distracting environment and you're really trying to remember things for a test, that's tough. So really try and, find a room in your house or a corner or something, the library, where you can really, it just is you and the materials, and you can really focus on that. So just a few of our favorites, especially when you're online. Again, it's a little bit different. So with all of those, everybody's different. Play around, figure out what's best for you, and you'll be okay. But with studying and with doing your courses online at your own pace, another thing that you really need to be good at to be successful in online school is time management. So Jess, can you take us through a few tips for good time management as an online student?
Absolutely, because it is imperative that you have good time management skills. Setting yourself up for success when you're doing something virtually is almost completely dependent on managing your time well and making sure that you are giving yourself enough time to succeed. I think that with online school, it's finding a happy medium, right? So there's a piece of it where you can get started and you realize that since you are doing it at your own pace, you could try and really fly through it and get it done and over with and try to get it done in a shorter amount of time, which that does work for some people, but not for all. And then the other end of that double-edged sword is, saying, oh, well, I can just do it tomorrow. I'm not on my own. I'm on my own pace. Oh, well, I can just do it next week. I'm on my own pace. And then a month goes by and you're like, where did that go? So it's finding that happy middle ground where you are getting things done, but you're not rushing yourself and not setting yourself up to succeed. You definitely have to make sure that time management skills aren't something that you just have. They kind of build over time, so you try things, you see if they work for you. If they don't work for you, you try something different. Like we mentioned earlier, setting a study schedule is a really big piece of this. Getting a calendar, opening the calendar on your phone and opening it up by day and looking at hour by hour by hour and seeing where you have free time and blocking off an hour and a half, even 30 minutes where that is solely dedicated to one course or taking an exam, and even scheduling out when you take your exams. Yes, they are self-paced and you can take them whenever you want, but if you give yourself, okay, I'm going to take this exam on Friday, maybe I should start studying on Monday or the previous Friday, like Lauren was saying before. Do not wait till the last minute. Give yourself the opportunity to succeed. And again, whether you have 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week, it's still beneficial to block off that time so that you have it set aside for you. Also, setting goals. How quickly do you want to finish your program? If you set a date, that will help you, kind of light that little bit of a fire underneath to get you through to the end. And, like I said before, some people, it works for them to just go, 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 go and get through it. But for some people, it might take a little bit more time. And if that's you, then acknowledging that and setting yourself up for realistic goals is one of the major keys to success with online school. Setting a goal date is one thing, but you can also set smaller goals, like saying you want to finish 3 exams a week, or like I said before, saying I take all of my exams on Fridays, so you have Monday through Thursday to get yourself set up to take those exams on Friday. However it works for you, but also, with all of this, be kind to yourself. Don't let yourself feel like if you miss a block of studying because you had something else going on, or you had to, move it back or move it forward. Just be kind with yourself and know that you're doing your best. And if you keep all of that in mind, then you really are setting yourself up to succeed.
I completely agree. I think that, like we said, having a set schedule and goals is really important because you don't want to let yourself procrastinate or not prioritize your studying to the point where you kind of just stop doing it. But if you do set yourself up with study times, you set yourself up to succeed in terms of planning, then you can cut yourself a break every now and again when it becomes too much. That's kind of a good thing with the flexibility of doing an online program.
Yeah, absolutely. And another piece of, doing something online that's a lot different than completing schoolwork in person is keeping yourself motivated. You don't have, that instructor or, that valedictorian pushing you to try to, be at the top of your class or to push you to get those, get those grades you want to get. It's all kind of up to you. So, Lauren, do you want to take us through some tips on how to stay motivated while completing your schooling online?
Definitely. I think, to go off what you said too, Jess, when you first enroll, you're so excited. There's that prospect of, getting that diploma or degree or certificate and using that to get into college or get that promotion or get into that new career, which is awesome. But then you hit that hard lesson or something that's just not exciting and you're like, oh, it's tough to log in. So, I think one thing is just acknowledging that there are going to be times that it's a little more difficult to stay motivated, and you're going to have to kind of find ways to push yourself to get that motivation back. And one of those, I think, is to remember what you're doing this for. You signed up for a reason. When you feel like you just can't do it, think about that reason that you signed up. Is it, for what's next? Is it because you want to feel accomplished with yourself? Is it to be a good example to your kids? there's something big that pushed you to do this in the first place. So it's important to be thinking about that goal. Another thing is to remember that you're not alone. We're here for you. If you need help, you can contact your instructors through the help center of your student portal. You can talk to them on the phone if you want to. You can even set up an appointment to talk to them through the help center. So that I think an appointment can help sometimes, because then that you will have a time that is there that you can get that motivation from them, so that when that appointment comes, you're not like, oh, I don't really feel like calling, or this is annoying. It's kind of something that can push you to just do it. So I think that that's really helpful. We also have the student community, like we talked about. That's a great place to get motivation. The community manager, Sean, we've said before, he's the best. He's a great motivator. The other students that are in there are awesome. They're accomplishing things, and kind of, I think, hearing from other students can really help, because you can see how they've overcome challenges and how having that diploma or degree or credential has helped to change their lives. We also, if you look at our social media platforms, have a lot of graduate podcasts and stories, and we post a lot of diploma and graduation photos. Check those out, because that could be you. Like we said, you're doing this for a reason. Like if you're in online school, you are motivated. Even when if your motivation is lacking because you're stuck on something hard, that's fair, that's human. But to even be doing this in the first place, you are a motivated person. You are somebody who has goals. You are somebody who is an achiever. And it's going to feel so good when you reach that achievement. So look at those photos, look at those grads, and know that that's going to be you. And that's going to feel awesome.
I love that. I absolutely love that sentiment. You're so right. Just seeing people who have gotten to the place that you want to be is really super motivating. I mean, just in any facet of life, but specifically, with your education, especially when you are doing it online and you feel like at certain points, like you don't have somebody. There's always somebody who's completing the program you're completing and trying to reach the goal you're trying to reach, while there's also at the same exact time, there's somebody who's hitting that final button and completing it. And, then there's also somebody physically getting their diploma in the mail. So, everybody's at a different step, but everybody's here to cheer each other on, which is really cool.
Absolutely. So just to stay on the topic of celebrating success, Jess, what are some of your tips for how to really take the time to acknowledge when you've hit a milestone or feel good about what you've accomplished?
Yes, this is the best part. So everything we've talked about, the study tips to make sure that you get to the point where you get those great grades, and the time management to hit those milestones and staying motivated so that you can hit those milestones, all leads up to getting these moments of success where you want to celebrate, and we want to make sure that you feel celebrated. Online school isn't easy. You are in charge of your own progress and your own learning, and it's really, really important to celebrate your successes when they come and not just brush them aside. So one thing you can do is when you pass an exam, finish a class, or get a good grade on a paper, you can celebrate by treating yourself to something special. I know I do. Hashtag treat yourself. Sharing your successes on social media. And when you do, please make sure you tag us, because one of our favorite things is to see you guys succeeding and to share that content. Because like we were saying before, if you are looking to get motivated and you check out our social media platforms, we are always sharing diplomas and graduation photos and all of these amazing things that you guys sent into us. And somebody seeing you with your diploma, or seeing that you passed a class, or seeing that you passed a test, might be that motivation that pushes them forward too. So celebrating yourself can also help somebody else. So always remember that. So make sure you're always tagging us using hashtag Penn Foster. We also love hashtag PF Proud, and just tagging us directly in your post so that we can also celebrate alongside you. You can also share your successes in the student community, where there are also lots of students who are going through the same thing and want to just write you that congratulations on your post. And all of that stuff just, again, another good way to keep yourself motivated is by celebrating yourself and having other people celebrate you and having that feeling you just want it to keep going. You know what I mean? And also, once you're done, you've graduated, congratulations. Don't forget to share a picture of your diploma or your degree on social media and tag us again. We love to sharing your successes with you, and we love to share your successes with the rest of, the Penn Foster community on social, which is awesome. And also keep an eye out for the digital yearbook submission so that you can be included in our yearbook. It's one of the coolest things that we offer because it gives you that personal piece that you don't get, what you get if you're in a traditional school. Every year you pay for a yearbook and you have a yearbook and all that good stuff. We wanted to make sure that you guys have something like that as well. So we offer one digitally. So just keep an eye out for when the submissions open for that so that you can be celebrated that way also.
That's such a good point. And, just know we're very proud of you for hitting the milestones of passing your exams, for enrolling, for logging in. Like, it's all really cool. You're doing something to better your life. You're doing something to give yourself that sense of pride. And the people in your life are going to be looking up to you for that too. So what you're doing is awesome. We wish you the best, feelings and vibes this back to school season, the best of luck in your studies, and the best of luck for what comes next in the season of your life. Thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with your studies. We can't wait to see your progress and continue to cheer you on.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Bye.